This feels like a really funny podcast to be recording where I'm going to be talking about a post I made on social about wanting 50 friends before I turn 50 or by the time I turn 50. And I'll be honest, I almost didn't post that. It just felt way too vulnerable. And so in this podcast, I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about the 50 Friends by 50 challenge, why I'm doing it, and that's the kind of the vulnerable part, and what it's teaching me. And today I'm going to be talking about the 50 Friends by 50 challenge and what it's teaching me. So maybe it's best for us to start when I was younger. I've I've always been, at least let's think of like high school. I've always been the person who knows a lot of people and is known by a lot of people. So in school, I knew other my classmates, right? But I also knew students from sports and clubs and student council. And then outside of school, I also had my soccer friends and my rugby friends and then people from Toastmasters. And so it seemed like I knew a lot of people. But then that was the age of no cell phones, no texting and so forth. And so I'd be sitting at home kind of waiting for the call to know where people are going, and I wouldn't get it. And I'd often sit at home by myself. Now, my connection to a lot of kids or other teenagers in high school. It's like I wasn't around at lunchtime. I was always in a meeting or having to catch up on something because I had sports or whatever it may be. And so I didn't always get to sit at the lunch table to hear what was going on. And so I had a friend who was keeping me connected to the group and such. But, I had a lot of acquaintances, a lot of teammates and such, but not a ton of like super close friends. And then I'd like get to maybe I'd be at the lunch table on the Monday, or I'd be in class and people would be talking about a party or something that happened. And I would just kind of sit there quietly because I wasn't there. And then people would say, "Why weren't you there, Diane?" And it was like everyone thought everyone else was inviting me. And so I didn't have like a ton of really close friends. I also had a boyfriend for many years. So that I think took up, my some of my free time. But then as an adult, moving out here to BC, I started making new friends and going to Toastmasters again. And I had a soccer team and a rugby team and such. And I can remember sitting after a Toastmaster event, we went out like socially, and I was talking about wanting to hike here in North Vancouver, BC, but a little bit nervous to do it by myself without my boyfriend or fiance or husband at the time. I don't remember what stage I was in with Adriel. But I said I feel nervous to hike by myself because of bears. And then this other lady around my same age, she said, "Oh, I thought you would have had like so many friends that you could go with." And I was like, "No, I don't." And she was shocked. And she said, "I like have been wanting to hang out with you or wanting to do things with you, but like I thought you already had a lot of friends." And it was really like an eye opener to me of I am either putting that energy out there or it's because I know a lot of people that people think I have tons of friends. But, I've always had a few super close friends growing up. But, one of them now lives across Canada because I moved out here. Another one lives in Australia, and another one further away here in BC. And I have friends. I have some friends, but again, as an adult, I know a lot of people, especially when I was running the Dynamic Women community and we had 8 different locations. There were hundreds and hundreds of women that I met, but they weren't necessarily my close friends. And so when it came to my birthday, it felt weird saying, "Hey, do you want to come to my birthday party?" I think I felt very vulnerable asking because, again, that idea of like, don't you have a ton of friends? You only know me a little bit. Why would you invite me? And so I often would have just super small birthdays because I felt weird. I felt bad. I felt just uneasy asking people. And I can remember, like one year not really doing anything. And then the following year, I decided, okay, what I'm going to do is with my dynamic women community, I'm going to do like a breakfast in this location, and then I'll go to this other city for lunch and this other place for dinner. And women came in. It was wonderful. And since I haven't really been running the dynamic women events, I've just been thinking like, wow, what's going to happen when I hit my 50th birthday? I would love for my husband to throw a party for me for my 50th, but would I have friends to invite? And I've been to other people's 50th, and they like rented a place and had all these people there. And it wasn't just people, it was friends. They had friends there. And I thought, wow, that would be so cool if I confidently could invite 50 friends to that party. So I'm 46 now, 47 in September. And it's not like I haven't built close friends here, but it just seems like another one has moved across the world. And so it seems like I get in with close friends, and then the distance just makes it hard to have that everyday connection. I do have friends at church. I have friends at soccer. I have friends in business. I have friends in my neighborhood. I have friends connected through parents, my kids' friends' parents. But I want to have them be closer. And I'll tell you how I kind of was taught how to be better friends. I have one of these ladies I met at Dynamic Women. She just started calling me on like a Monday. She'd call and we'd chat. And and then we'd get closer. And then she'd call me the next week, and she called me, and she kept calling me every week. It seemed. I don't think it was like planned maybe that way, but she called me every week, and I felt so special that she called me. And a lot of times when people invite me to things or call me or message me or say they're happy to see me, like I feel so special, like feel like I've missed out quite a bit on that type of feeling, which again feels very vulnerable and almost embarrassing to say. But I'm at that stage of life now where I've been thinking a lot about friendships and having more super close girlfriend friendships. I know people who have had like the same group of like 10, 7, 12 group friends, and they all still hang out because they all have proximity, they all live near each other. And so I've built businesses, and I've been married for 16 years, and I have kids. They're 11 and 14 now. And my life, yes, my life is full, just like I'm sure your life is super full. And it wasn't kind of just all of a sudden. It wasn't all of a sudden wasn't out when I was at an event, or wasn't this like text from someone, but it was just like over time I started to notice that I've been intentional about growing my business, but not nearly as intentional about growing my friendships. And if that friend of mine who really became close friends with me because she called me every week, I thought I can do things to make closer friendships, right? And intentionally, not just friends with people that I wouldn't have picked as my friend. And not because they're not good people, and not because they don't have value, but because we're maybe just not the best fit for each other. And so I don't want to get to the age of 50 and feel like I've let potential good friendships I already have drift, potential friendships, just nothing happened. And I want to be surrounded by people at my 50th, or just this like what I'm imagining in the future. Not because I want to be able to say, look at how many people care about me. It's more about look look at how many people are important in my life to me, and I'm important to them, right? I remember someone I only met twice found out that my son had broke his femur at like 2.5 years old. And she set up a meal train, and I was so surprised. And she said, who should I invite? to partake in the meal train. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Because that seems like something you would do for a friend, someone you would know. Just like when I had my second child here and I went to have a baby shower, I was like, or maybe it was the first one of them. I was like, who do I invite? Like I don't even know who I would invite, which kind of is a weird feeling. So the 50 friends by 50 is not necessarily for the enjoyment of that party. It's really for the process of getting there and being able to have really rich relationships in my life. So when I did the post, and it came, I think the post came because I just quickly mentioned it about not making relationships by default. And that was a previous podcast episode. So you can always check that one out and see where it came from. And then my team, they pulled that piece out and made a post. And when I had to like edit and improve it, I thought, oh, can I really let this go out there? I should delete it. I should edit it. I should change it. I don't want it to be public knowledge that I don't have a ton of close friends. And then the response was like amazing. Other people were like, I feel this too. I want that for myself. And some are younger and some are older and they want to do it as well. And other people were saying, yeah, I've been thinking the same thing. Like I want more friends. And it made me realize how common this is. And I know that people are always kind of longing for a sense of belonging. And the kind of the most emotional thing of the post was to have ladies commenting, I want to be there, like at the party, meaning that they're like wanting to claim a spot. And other people who are closer to me saying, oh, I'm already going to be there. And or count me in your 50 or whatever. And then I had other people that I don't really know well, like want to connect for coffee to get closer. And that was really encouraging and exciting for me because, yeah, I want to have, I want to have more friends. And so it's funny when I came up with this challenge personally for myself, I went in the notes section on my phone. Actually, I'll pull it up right now and see see what I put. I like I started listing the groups of people. So I have friends, like ones that I just have had forever. I then have church friends. I then have neighborhood friends. I have my CAPS, Canadian Association of Professional Speakers friends. I then have soccer friends and I have business friends. And those are the categories that I've put it into. And I started writing down names. And I wrote down names of people I'm already close to that I would consider like a really great friend and that they would be there. And the list is surprisingly, the list was longer than it was previously. And I also wrote down names of people who I am intentionally building friendships with. And the thing it's just should be common knowledge, right? The friendships don't maintain themselves. And just because you've known someone for a long time, it doesn't mean that they're in like your inner circle of friends. It doesn't equal that. There's intention and time that has to be involved. And honestly, people are more open to connecting than we think, which is really cool. Really cool. And I've been setting up these business events, small, intimate business events, with potential for also building more friendships with women who I see will be able to inspire me and challenge me and vice versa, where we could do life and business together, which was part of why I created Dynamic Women in the first place. So there have been people who I've been messaging and saying, hey, do you want to get together for a coffee? Hey, do you want to go for a walk? And I have 3 years, 3.5 years to make this work. In the next few episodes, I am going to be covering why high achieving women struggle to maintain friendships. I'm also going to cover the friendship gap that no one is talking about. And then I'm going to cover how to build and maintain meaningful friendships as a busy woman. And so I'm going to cover those in the next 3 episodes, and I'll keep you posted on how the 50 before 50 goes. It's teaching me a lot, shifting a lot for me. And I've been reaching out to people who I haven't talked to in a while, even just to say, like, hey, I was thinking about you. And every time I do it, I think, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I do this sooner? But no regrets, right? I'm saying a lot today. I think I'm being more reflective. That's why. So again, this isn't about necessarily the party with the 50 friends. It's about the process and the joy that comes with having strong friendships and not leaving connection up to chance. Well, there you go. Whew, that wasn't as vulnerable as, well, it was a bit vulnerable, but I didn't cry, which is cool because it is like a heart thing for me. It is a very hard thing kind of for me to talk about, being that I know so many people. But if you can relate, let me know. Send me a message. You can email me, diane@dianerolston.com. Share this with a friend. Maybe this will start the conversation, or a potential friend, about wanting to hang out more and do more things together. And until next time, stay dynamic. Bye.